Hi and good morning. I'm on day 12 now of my stem cell transplant, so I've been in hospital for 14 days. This is just a quick note right at the beginning for my niece in Canada, Katie Jane. It's just to say that all of this that I'm going through is all for the better, and you'll see from what you're about to hear that things do get better very quickly. Okay, so just have a listen, see what you think. Okay, I think I left off the last time saying that I had started my GCSF injections. Now that means, or that stands for, granulocyte colony stimulating factor. So that's GCSF. And as I said before, if you're familiar with, or if you've been through any stem cell harvesting, you will be familiar with those initials. You will, or may be familiar with some of the pain that can result from receiving those injections. And I'll run through that now. I started my GCSF injections on day 6, so that was the day that I became neutropenic. And I'll go into the neutropenic side a little bit further later on. GCSF, I had my last one, I understand that was my last one last night, so that's day 11. Okay, so I've run from day 6 to 11, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days. The cumulative effect of the GCSF, so after about the 3rd day, did result in quite a bit of pain. I was surprised at first. I thought it was just because I had been lying down for too long, because I've got a historic fracture in T12, which is the bottom of your thoracic, just above your lumbar, and I do get pain from that from time to time. But I didn't understand, if I changed position, it didn't go away, and that was pretty much the defining factor that convinced us that it was the GCSF rather than just me being a bit lazy and not walking around the room so much. So I had pain in T12 first, and then that went up to C7, which is where I've got collapsed. My C7's collapsed, so it goes C6 and then starts T1. Really, the C6 and C7 are fused together, and the way they're fused together, it puts pressure on my spinal cord in that area, particularly if I look straight ahead, if you imagine. I can't do that for very long without getting a headache. So that's where the second bit started, and then on probably day 4, day 5, from my rib cage. Now I've had, you might be familiar with it, you might not. I've had a procedure called balloon kyphoplasty carried out on my thoracic vertebrae T2, 4, 5 and 6. And really, this isn't part of the stem cell, by the way, stem cell transplant, by the way, but it's a reason why I've got the pain that I had that starts at the source. So in my neck, it started there, but it was like having a collar on. It shot round your neck. It felt like it was right round here. Similarly with the T12, that felt like it was right round your hips and the top of your thighs. It was like a pulse of pain as well, and it didn't matter what you did, whether you put pressure on it, whether you moved around, it just did not go away. Okay. The ones in my rib cage were, like I say, it extended around in my rib cage and my ribs, from the breaks, because they were all broken, T2, 4, 5 and 6, and the balloon kyphoplasty filled the cavity where the myeloma had pretty much eaten away the bone, and if you imagine your vertebrae is stacked on top of each other like that, and what it does is it creates a void like that. So if that's my back, there's a void there, and if they don't fill that, that does that. So if you ever see somebody walking around with bent double with a walking stick, say, odds on that they've got some sort of collapse in the vertebrae in exactly that fashion. Okay. That was going off at a little bit of a tangent, but it explains where I was getting the pain from. So if you have got any fractures, expect to have pain. from those if you're unlucky. I didn't experience this the first time I had a stem cell transplant and those fractures were present. But this time I did. Now they came up with Oromorph, which is an easy one to, it's an easy hit, really. Excuse me, liquid morphine. And I have 1 milligram of that every 4 hours and 2 paracetamol every 6 hours, and that contained that pain. Any lesser dose of Oromorph wouldn't. So Oromorph every 6 hours didn't. Oromorph at 5 milliliters. Sorry for switching units, but didn't. But 10 milligrams did, and that worked for me. And you can have 10 milligrams. Well, you can have as much pain relief as you want. They'll make sure that you're not in any discomfort. So just ask, really. So once the pain's under control, which takes about 24 hours until you find your happy medium, you get on with it again. On day 9, so 4 days after the GCSF injections started, my neutrophils were, previous to that day, 0. They rose to, not very much, it was 0.01, so just off the bottom. The next day, day 10, that rose to 0.11, which is quite an increase from 0.01. And I fully expected it to pretty much jump the next day to 0.5. It didn't just jump, it leapt, and it got to 1.7, which means I'm not neutropenic anymore, and that was yesterday. So my last GCSF injection was last night, because it's not just your neutrophils, it's sort of the other types of your white blood cell that they want to increase. Want your platelets to increase, for example. And just to let you know, my platelets, they fluctuate, and I've had 2 platelet transfusions since day 7. So I had one last night or this morning through the night, and that's because my platelets went down to 17. Now, when you become neutropenic, so I started going to the neutropenic side of things. When you become neutropenic, you haven't got an immune system, and they expect your temperature to rise. When your temperature rises and it goes above 38 degrees, it starts to, the length of life of your platelets is reduced. So therefore your platelet levels start to drop. And platelets help with a number of things. One of them being bleeding, and the other one is temperature control, which is a lot of what your white blood cells do. Your neutrophils, your platelets, all form part of that group. When they're low, you do get temperatures. So you could expect to get a platelet infusion. It wouldn't be uncommon. I've had 2, like I said, during this stem cell transplant. My temperature is now the thing that they are watching for. It's still currently at about 37.5, even though my neutrophil count has gone up. And my temperature needs to be around about 36.5, 36.9 consistently over 24 hours before they let me go. So I'm still getting a lot of antibiotics, which is what they give you as soon as you become neutropenic and as soon as you get a temperature spike. And anything over 30 degrees is what they call a spike. My highest has gone to 38.5. That's not the highest temperature I've ever had when I've had multiple myeloma, but that's the highest it's been on this stem cell transplant, and I don't expect it to go anywhere near that now, because my neutrophils are recovering, and my platelets, I've just had another infusion, and I expect them to start and catch up, because my temperature is now pretty stable at 37.5. Hasn't really gone above that for probably 18 hours now. And what I really need to see is that starting to drop. So the food, the fluid intake, everything. You just keep on doing that, and eventually your body will start and regulate, and it'll get that temperature down. Okay. So that's pretty much picks up everything that's happened over the last 5 days. I'm looking to be released, discharged, whatever you want to call it, in the next couple of days. It's not going to be today. I've just seen the professor this morning, and they're going to kind of continue with antibiotics for another 24 hours, and that's pretty much because my temperature is still at 37.5. It shouldn't be there, so even though my blood counts are rising, that temperature still shouldn't be up there. So really I've got to try everything I can to get that down. As soon as that comes down and it's there and stable for 24 hours, they'll let me go. The other thing that's happening now, so it started happening yesterday, is my hair. I'm waiting for my wife to come in so that she can tidy that up. My wife's doing that. That's my wife, by the way. It's just one of those things that happens, and God, it looks terrible there, doesn't it? There's some funny things that happen which you must laugh at. I don't care. Yeah, I'll say it anyway. But when I went to the loo this morning, that took me underpants down. I found a bird's nest in there just about. So I was a bit surprised at that. So that was sort of on the cards anyway. But that's what happens, and that's what you can find. Yeah, I'll not go any further. So there we are. I'll look a little bit tidier the next time I log on. I won't need a shave now for probably another 6 weeks to 8 weeks, because it takes that long for the hairs to come through. So once I've had I need a final shave to get rid of this stubble, and then once that's done, there won't be any more coming through. And that's it really. And I hope that's put your mind at rest, KJ. Alright? Speak to you later. Bye-bye.